Welcome in, whiskey freaks, to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your number one attitudinal bourbon destination. I'm John Stark, and today I'll be doing an in-depth review of Starlight Distillery, Indiana Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Yes, I'm straying from the motherland, and we're headed to Indiana today for this one. Will I be disappointed? Well, let's find out. Well, super quick, I want to thank all the new listeners we've added this month. It's so great to be able to connect with you all about this one thing that we all love, which is bourbon whiskey. And I'm feeling the love. And thank you for liking and following on Facebook and Instagram. If you haven't, I'd be so grateful if you'd take a minute and mash those buttons. I think that's what the cool kids say, mash the button. So if you would do that, us whiskey freaks have got to stick together. And one more thing real quick. If you could go to Apple or YouTube or Spotify, you know the places to go and get the cool podcasts, subscribe to the Blind Tasting Podcast. That would be amazing. So here's the deal. I am super stoked today because I've been waiting over a year to crack this one open. It's from Indiana. And when most folks, you mention Indiana bourbon whiskey, really only one name comes to mind, and that's MGP. But not today, kids. This distillery is in Bourbon, Indiana, which is it's about 25 miles north-ish of Louisville. So if you're down at Old Forester or Angel's Envy or one of those other guys, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to Starlight. And I highly recommend it. Get your crew together, load up that 77 Trans Am, and run on up to Starlight Distillery. Seriously, though, if you want a beautiful drive in the countryside with rolling hills, fields of orchards and sunflowers, vegetables as far as the eye can see, vineyards, you got to check this place out. Plus, they have a nearby restaurant that we ate at when we were there. They have amazing food, and trust me, you'll be stuffed when you leave. You can visit their winery. They've got a farm store, farmer's market. They even have a family fun park area where everyone, including your kids, can play. They've got mazes. They give you a tour of the farm. They got pedal carts you can race. You can go down a big slide. All kinds of things. We were there. We were interested in the distillery tour. And we took the discovery tour at the distillery. And that gave us access to the barrel room. And we actually got to go out on the actual production floor. I'm not sure I was supposed to, but I was able to get a sip of White Dog right off the massive pot still that they were running. That was really cool. Oh, and if you do get there and take a distillery tour, you get to go to their tasting loft afterwards, upstairs, to sample all the stuff that they have. They've got gin, rum, vodka. Naturally, they have several whiskeys and ryes to taste. And the nice thing about this is you can buy most everything that you sample there right on site. That's incredible. Some places you go, you can taste, you can't buy, you got to go some. Not the case here. They may even have had wine up there. I don't remember. It's been a while. So a side note, and full disclosure, I have had their single barrel rye pick from Starlight. I got it a couple years back, and it was gone within a week. It was amazing. What I'm holding here in my hand today is a 375 milliliter bottle of Starlight Distillery Carl T. Huber, Indiana Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Now, Starlight Distillery is run by the Huber family. It's a massive spread of 700 acres. And on this massive place, they farm, they produce wine, and they make distilled spirits. So the first question I asked was, who is Carl T? Why is his name on the bottle? Well, Carl T. Huber is the fourth generation dude in the family heritage. And I think right now they're on their seventh generation. So they put his name on this bottle in a way to honor their heritage. The Hubers have been in Indiana a very long time. They've been there on this or near this area since 1843. So looking at the bottle here, the proof comes in at 92. And the age statement, it is age stated right on the bottle, which is awesome. It's 4 years aged, so we're off to a good start. The bottle, like I said, it's a 375. You can see what it looks like on the Facebook or Instagram. Not really going to go into the bottle a lot today, even though I normally get pretty excited about the bottle. Today, I'm just more excited to get inside the bottle. The mash bill. Okay. So this is where it gets interesting. At Starlight, they use 2 mash bills and then they blend them together. So they use a 3-grain and a 4-grain mash bill. They distill it in copper pot stills. I mentioned that earlier. Then they age the bourbon whiskey for a minimum of 4 years. Now, I know it says 4 years on the bottle, but they say a minimum of 4 years. And they age it there on site in their own rick houses on the grounds of the Huber estate. And like I said, the place is massive. So what is the exact blend? Well, only they know for sure. But we do know this much. The first mash bill is 60 corn, 20 rye, and 20 malted barley. And the second mash bill is 51 corn, 20 rye, and 20 malted barley, and 9 wheat. So how's it blended? Well, only they know this secret. And hopefully it's blended well so it tastes amazing. I'm hoping we'll find out here in just a couple minutes. I wonder what kind of flavors we're going to get here. Is it going to be sweeter because of the corn and wheat? Or a bit spicier because of that rye? Either way, my mouth is watering right now. On to the color. It's very light in color. It's chestnut. Remember, it's only 4 years old though, so there's that. Now, I say this every time. To me, how a whiskey looks can really tell you about the flavors you're about to receive. You know, the darker the hue, in many cases, the deeper the flavor profile. Now, it's not always true, but it is in a lot of cases, so I mention it every single time. In this case, I'm honestly a bit worried. Let me open the bottle. Now, I taste out of your typical Glencairn glass. Not every time. Remember, I always say you can drink whiskey out of whatever you want, but for tasting, I do try to use the Glencairn. Oh shoot, I never mentioned the price. I paid just over $20 for this little $3.75. Sorry, it's been a while. So I'm going to swirl it around a little bit in the glass and give it a nosing. It's really light and fruity. I'm getting a bit of vanilla. But what's weird is I'm not getting any oak, which is very strange. Let me take a sip here and see what we get. Let me roll it off the tongue. Ooh, this is dangerous. It's very sweet. I'm getting pear, strong. Like when you open a can of pears from Del Monte, you know, like that syrup that's inside the can. That's this. That's what it smells like, and you get that taste. It's not syrupy in consistency, but it does have that flavor. I'm getting a little vanilla finally, little bit of spice. It's very fruity though. Definitely pear. I'm going to take another sip here and then we'll talk about the finish. The finish, okay, I'm getting a little bit of caramel, but the pear is really strong. It's short and sweet. But what's weird to me, I get almost zero oak. It's pleasant, but it really doesn't have a lot going on as far as depth. And I think my initial evaluation about the color was correct. There's not a lot of complexity here. I do like it, don't get me wrong, but I don't love it. And kids, I am always going to shoot straight with you. The times we're in, good grief, every doll hair counts. So if you want a sugar-coated review, this is not the place for you. There's no BS here, kids. So what's my verdict? I'll be right back after the money spot to reveal today's verdict. Are you looking to update your bar or man cave with some great photographs or wall art? Head over to famousdocs.etsy.com and pick up some fantastic prohibition, whiskey, and gangster-related photographs and art. And if you purchase 4 or more items, you'll get 20% off your entire order for a limited time. That's famousdocs.etsy.com. famousdocs.etsy.com. Remember, there are 3 options at the Blind Tasting Podcast for the verdict. Are we going to keep it, collect it, or cull it? Now, to keep it means to proudly display it in your liquor cabinet or bar. That means this stuff is good for report anytime, so there's really no need to stock up since it's always available. Collect it means grab another bottle or 2, since you find it so darn delicious, or it just may not be that easy to obtain. And our last possible verdict is to cull it. Pass it on to an annoying neighbor, or use it to sanitize a dirty toilet. In the case of Starlight Carl T. Indiana Bourbon Whiskey, I say, keep it. Like I said, it's not bad. In fact, those 2 mash bills are totally working together to make a symphony of delight in my mouth. Okay, I'm just kidding. There's no symphony here, but they are working pretty well together. It's super sweet and fruity. It's pear heavy, which I actually like. I had a Yellowstone pick a couple years ago that was pear heavy, and I loved it actually. I can see you sitting around a fire pit here in the late summer or fall. Maybe splash it over some ice in a rocks glass. It's light, it's fresh. It could actually be dangerous for me. It's very easy to drink. And it's affordable. And it's accessible. I've said this a million times. What's the point in me reviewing Pappy 23 when nobody can get their hands on Pappy 23? I want to review stuff you can get your hands on without taking out a line of credit against your house. You can find Starlight in 18 states and Alberta, Canada, oddly enough. Check out their website, see if it's near you. In fact, I might try to grab their bottled in bond or maybe their double oaked soon to see if they, maybe they step up their game at a higher proof point. I don't know. So stop by the Starlight Distillery in the great state of Indiana. They have lots of reasonably priced whiskeys, among other things. And especially if you're visiting Louisville or trying to knock out all 46 distilleries on that new and improved Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I mean, what's one more distillery, right? Head on up to Starlight. It'll be worth your while. Last but not least, folks, let's give a shout out to the farmers, distillery production guys and gals, warehouse workers, bottlers, and truck drivers. They make it happen, so cheers to all of them. Well, that's all I got for today, Whiskey Freaks. Thanks for listening to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your #1 attitudinal bourbon destination.